The Arizona sunset painted the sky with gold and crimson as Ethan Walker rode across the lonely prairie toward his ranch. For years, Ethan had lived alone. His wife had died from fever 5 winters ago, and since then, the ranch had felt empty. The wind spoke louder than people. The horses were his only company. That evening, dark clouds gathered over the distant mountains. As Ethan followed the river trail, something unusual caught his eye. A figure hung beneath a large cottonwood tree. His heart pounded. He urged his horse forward. When he got closer, he saw it was a young Apache woman. Her wrists were tied above her head. Her clothes were torn. Bruises marked her arms. A wooden sign hung from the tree. "Let this be a warning." Ethan's jaw tightened. The girl was alive. Barely. Without hesitation, he climbed down and cut the ropes. She collapsed into his arms. Her dark eyes opened briefly. Fear filled them. Then she lost consciousness. As thunder rolled across the sky, Ethan lifted her onto his horse. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know why someone wanted her dead. But he knew one thing. He wasn't leaving her there. Rain hammered the ranch roof throughout the night. The young woman slept beside the fireplace while Ethan sat nearby. When morning arrived, sunlight spilled through the windows. The girl finally woke. Her eyes darted around the room. Fear returned immediately. "It's all right," Ethan said softly. "You are safe here." She didn't answer. Not a single word. For several days, she remained silent. She helped with chores, fed the chickens, swept the porch. But she never spoke. One evening, they sat outside watching the sunset. The sky glowed orange behind distant mountains. Ethan handed her a cup of coffee. "You got a name?" The girl hesitated. Then she quietly pointed to herself. "Ayanna." It was the first word Ethan had heard. "Ayanna," he repeated gently. She nodded. A faint smile appeared. For the first time, Ethan saw warmth behind her sadness. And for the first time in years, loneliness loosened its grip on his heart. Summer slowly settled across the valley. Days became brighter. Ayanna helped repair fences and care for horses. Sometimes Ethan would catch her laughing when a stubborn mule caused trouble. Each laugh felt precious. One afternoon, they rode together beside the river. The water sparkled beneath the sun. Ayanna looked peaceful. "Why were you hanging from that tree?" Ethan finally asked. Her smile faded. She looked away. Pain filled her eyes. "I can't tell you." The answer surprised him. It was the longest sentence she had spoken. Ethan nodded. "You don't have to." That night they sat beside a campfire. Crickets sang in the darkness. Ayanna stared into flames. "Why do you live alone?" she asked. Ethan swallowed. "My wife died." Ayanna lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry." For a long moment neither spoke. Then she reached out and gently touched his hand. The simple gesture carried more comfort than words ever could. Under the stars, two wounded hearts began finding healing in each other. Neither realized they were falling in love, but both could feel something changing, something beautiful. One afternoon, Ethan rode into town for supplies. The moment he mentioned Ayanna's name, silence spread through the general store. Men exchanged nervous glances. The sheriff looked uncomfortable. Something was wrong, very wrong. That evening, Ethan searched through old records in the town church. What he discovered shocked him. 20 years earlier, several wealthy townsmen had attacked an Apache village. Gold had been discovered nearby. The settlers wanted the land. Many innocent people died. The crime had been buried, hidden, forgotten, or so everyone believed. Ayanna's father had been the Apache chief who tried to stop the violence. And Ayanna had recently found proof. Documents, witness statements, evidence. She carried the truth. The town leaders feared exposure. That was why they tried to kill her. That was why she had been hanging from the tree. Ethan's blood ran cold. Suddenly, footsteps sounded outside. A gunshot shattered the window. Glass exploded across the room. Ethan grabbed his rifle. Someone wanted the secret buried forever. The attacks continued. Shots echoed near the ranch. Strangers watched from distant hills. Then one terrible morning, Ayanna disappeared. Ethan found signs of a struggle near the barn. His heart nearly stopped. Only one clue remained. a torn piece of cloth leading toward town. The wealthy landowner Samuel Briggs had always been connected to the old massacre. Now Ethan knew Briggs had taken her. That night, Ethan rode through a violent storm. Rain lashed his face. Lightning illuminated the dark landscape. Every mile felt endless. At last he reached an abandoned mining camp deep in the hills. Inside one of the buildings, he found Ayanna tied to a chair, bruised but alive. Their eyes met. "Ethan," she whispered. Relief flooded his heart. But armed men surrounded them. Briggs stepped forward. "You should have stayed out of this, rancher." Ethan tightened his grip on his rifle. "No." Briggs smiled coldly. "Then you'll die with her." The storm outside raged louder. The final battle had begun. Gunfire erupted. Bullets shattered old wooden walls. Ethan fought desperately. Years of ranch life had made him strong, but love made him fearless. One by one, Briggs's men fled into the storm. Finally, only Briggs remained. The old landowner aimed his revolver. At Ayanna, time seemed to stop. Without thinking, Ethan stepped between them. The gun fired. Pain exploded through his shoulder. He fell. "Ayanna, run!" But she didn't run. Instead, she grabbed a nearby lantern and hurled it toward Briggs. The lantern shattered. Flames burst across the floor. Briggs stumbled backward. Moments later, the sheriff arrived with deputies. Several townspeople had finally chosen truth over fear. Briggs was arrested. The secret was no longer buried. Justice had finally come. As dawn approached, Ethan lay wounded outside the mine. Ayanna knelt beside him. Tears filled her eyes. "You risked your life for me." Ethan smiled weakly. "I'd do it again." Her voice trembled. "Why?" "Because..." He could no longer hide the truth. "Because I love you." Ayanna's tears fell freely. "I love you too." The rising sun painted the mountains gold as they kissed the first time. A new beginning was finally within reach. Months later, peace returned to the valley. The truth about the massacre became known. Families received justice. Old wounds slowly began healing. At Ethan's ranch, life felt different, warmer, brighter. Ayanna filled the house with laughter. The lonely rooms no longer echoed with silence. One evening, they stood together beside the fence as the sun disappeared behind the mountains. Golden light stretched across the prairie. The horses grazed peacefully nearby. Ethan slipped a simple silver ring onto her finger. "You gave me a reason to hope again." Ayanna smiled. "And you gave me a home." The wind carried the scent of wildflowers across the valley. Together they watched the sunset. No longer alone. No longer haunted by the past. Only the future remained. As the stars appeared above the wild west sky, Ethan wrapped his arm around her shoulders. And for the first time in many years, his heart was finally home.